Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. So coming at you with some pure Snake Eye. Funny that only after I reached Master 1 with an off-meta deck, then I'm like, oh, let's try out some pure Snake Eye. Although to be fair, pure Snake Eye is definitely closer to being off-meta than its counterpart, Fire King Snake Eye. Again, this is the pure variant. I guess quote-unquote pure because we are attaching the Kashira package as well. Of course, that being double Unicorn Fenrir, the Wraithsoth, and a single copy of Birth. So, the more I play this deck, the less convinced I am that this is even a tier 2 deck, as I've been putting it in the latest tier list. Well, I think it's close. I think I've actually been putting it at the bottom of tier 2, which I think might be accurate. Playing this deck with its current level of consistency, and also the number of hand traps and board breakers we're playing, it kind of feels like playing Math Mech a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. The decks are about as consistent as one another. They both have like somewhere in the neighborhood of like 11 one-card starters, right? For us, it's gonna be 1 for the Snake Eye Ash, 2, 3, 4 for the Poplars, 3, 5, 6, or sorry, 7 for the I said 3, 5, 6, good god. It's actually first thing in the morning, I literally just woke up, so that's gonna be my excuse. Anyway, 7 with the DML Star, 8 with the 1-for-1s, 10 with Bonfire, and then Wanted is gonna make 11 starters, which again is about the same number that Math Mech has. There is, I guess, also stuff like OSS is like a conditional starter. Even Oak, if you have like another face-up card, can be a starter, but I'm mostly counting cards that do plays the entire play by themselves. I guess to be fair, a DML starters require another card in hand, but because it's any old card, I don't really count that as a play. But anyway, my main point that I'm getting at here is that, you know, the more I play both this version, the pure Snake Eye deck, and Fire King Snake Eye, the more I'm kind of thinking about what it is about fire decks right now that maybe feel a little bit OP. I mean, here's the thing, right? I certainly don't think anybody's saying anymore that we're in a tier 0 format, that Snake Eye is that dominant. I think there was an argument to make there back when the pure variant was running rampant with like 3 Ash, or really even 2, just multiple Snake Eye Ash, as well as like 3 Bonfire, and then of course 3 Wanted as well. But you know, again, after playing pure Snake Eye, it's like, well, okay, the Snake Eye archetype by itself clearly isn't the issue, because if this is a tier 3 petering on tier, or rather tier 2 petering on tier 3 deck, the pure variant, then it's obviously not Snake Eye in a vacuum, right? That's not what's overpowered here. So it's not really the Fire King cards though either, right? Because those are obviously not like a rogue level deck when not paired with the Snake Eye. So what exactly is it that makes these two archetypes when combined greater than the sum of their parts? I guess the question that I'm kind of asking here is, what is the real culprit of making the fire decks still, particularly Snake Eye variant, still so overpowered? And I maintain that it does end up being the Promethean Princess. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think if you want to address fire decks, the best way to do it is to ban Promethean Princess. Now, I have, of course, seen a lot of people say that, oh no, you can't ban Promethean Princess because then you hurt every single fire deck, right? But the thing is that every single fire deck has a lot of really notable lines without the Promethean Princess, kind of with the exception of Snake Eye, right? You know, think about like Salamangreat, for example. Yeah, they are greatly boosted by Promethean Princess. I'm not going to pretend like banning it wouldn't hurt that deck, but to be fair, the deck already definitely has plays without the card. Same can definitely be said for Rescue Ace for sure. Rescue Ace definitely does not even need this card to do its you know, turn 1 plays at all. And the same could actually be said for Infernoble Knight. Like, if you think about when Infernoble Knight, another kind of prominent rogue fire deck that uses Promethean Princess, but if you think about when they actually use her in the combo line, it's really not until like the end, right? So they can definitely still do pretty much all of their plays, except for, again, the setting of the Princess right at the end, which you really only do to set up Princess as an interaction in the graveyard, right? So, and I think that is kind of what, well, there's a lot of reasons why this card is overtuned, but I really do think that Promethean Princess is just overtuned. I think it does too much. I think I said at one point it was better than Chaos Ruler. I don't know about that. I might have been a bit hyperbolic there, but I do think it is very close. And I honestly think that Again, this is the linchpin that makes the fire decks, particularly Fire King Snake Eye, so good. Although, to be fair, at the same time, like, yeah, Fire King Snake Eye might be considered the best deck of the meta, but is it even really that dominant? It's actually not at all. Yubel is still by far the most played deck. Like, it's not even close, even in comparison to Fire King Snake Eye, even though a lot of people, like myself, do consider Fire King Snake Eye to be the better deck, right? Yubel is still by far the most played deck, and in fact, if you look at play rates for all Snake Eye variants, you'll see it's about as played as stuff like Centurion and Voiceless Voice. My main point here is that Fire King Snake Eye, while still prominent in the meta, does not have a stranglehold on it by any means. We're in an extremely diverse meta. So I guess that even kind of does beg the question, do fire decks even need to be further addressed at this point? I'm kind of on the fence about it. I honestly think that Promethean Princess just kind of makes the fire attribute as a whole a ticking time bomb. That's kind of one thing that I don't understand when people defend this card as well, because people were very quick to want to ban Block Dragon, right? Everyone wanted that card gone, and the same reason that I saw people give over and over and over again was like, oh, it limits the design of rock monsters. You can't make good rock monsters while this good tool is at play. What does that say about Promethean Princess and the fire attribute as a whole? Like, if we're comparing Promethean Princess to Block Dragon, I think there we can definitely say that Promethean Princess is the better card. It's more accessible, being in the extra deck than the main, also being completely generic. I think there's so many little things about this card that are broken, but anyway, yeah, so that's kind of my 2 cents on the state of fire decks in Master Duel in particular right now. I know the TCG is still very much dealing with Snake Eye being super dominant, but they also still have Ash at 3 and Wanted at 3 for some reason. I don't understand that. It's so easy. You just limit these cards. This deck no longer has the infinite recursion. I don't understand why. Like, I still see people on, like, ban Flamberge, ban Flamberge, ban Flamberge, and it's like, well, yeah, if you want to, like, completely kill the deck, but I think the goal of any ban list should be to make the deck, you know, playable, but still reined in, right? It's one of the things that I hate most about TCG ban list philosophy, and I really just don't like that that is actually celebrated, that rather than, like, actually trying to curb a deck, we just nuke it into the ground, right, instead. It's just, like, I don't know. I just disagree with that. I think it's gross ban list philosophy, but anyway. I'm kind of wondering, like, do I even need to break down this deck list? I feel like we've all seen this deck list by this point, right? There's not really even any noticeable text that I'm rocking in the main deck here. You know, I kind of thought about maybe including, like, a second Oak, or maybe a second OSS, but I don't like putting more of these extenders that need you to have another card in play, because it's not like that's going to necessarily increase the consistency of your deck. It might a little bit, but it's still going to come down to opening the 2 cards you need instead of just the 1, right? Which, you know, that's a first world problem when your deck is like, oh no, I only have 2, or, you know, this adding this consistency booster is only for 2 card plays instead of 1 card. But I mean, that's kind of where Snake Eye's at, right, and what it's used to playing with. But anyway, and then for the extra deck, I don't know. I'm trying out Typhone in here. Otherwise, I might have, like, Pit Knight Airly instead, but I never really summoned to that anyway when I used to play this deck. So, yeah, I think that's going to pretty much do it for the deck. Again, I think we've all seen lists like this before, so I won't bother breaking it down card by card. Let's just move over to our replays. Alright, you'll have to forgive me. These games were rating duels, and I did not have the time this morning to go through and write down. I should have done it while I was playing. As I saved the replay, just write down what I played against. But we're going to have a going second game here, and this is going to be quite the back and forth for this one. Oh, this is against Scareclaw, that's right. Because believe it or not, this is actually going to be a 14-turn game of Snake Eye versus Scareclaw. Opponent's going to lead with Scareclaw cash banishing another copy from hand, going for Lightheart. I'm going to Valor and not Ash Blossom here. Mostly willing to save the Ash Blossom for a possible Maxi on my turn, or an extender on theirs, right? Also, is this a new track, or has this always played on the Cashiera board? I don't remember this. Anyway, we unfortunately did not find any plays here, but at the very least, I can use my Divine Temple to set up the Snake Eye Ash in my spell trap, and then hopefully get play started on my turn. So, looks like our opponent is on the Nemesis engine as they play the Nemesis flag. Unfortunately, they have the Twin Saw here as a sack off the Lightheart. This will pop my Divine Temple, which of course does keep it from resolving, and I can no longer summon the Snake Eye Ash. I decided to use Ash Blossom on the Nemesis flag here, although to be fair, I don't think I really had to do that, because it's not like they have anything banished anyway. But I didn't want to count on my opponent, you know, I didn't want to assume they didn't have a way to summon out the Thunder Dragon Colossus, is what I'm mainly concerned about here, right? Because of course they would go Nemesis flag for the corridor, and then if they can summon out the corridor, then they can get out the Colossus. Still no gas here. I mean, you know, I did say that, like, oh, this deck is about as consistent as Mathmech, but I guess the thing that Mathmech has going for it that this deck doesn't is that it has a million kind of, like, conditionless extenders. And not completely conditionless, but definitely more conditionless than, like, Snake Eye Oak or OSS. Although, to be fair, both those cards would help me here, so... Finally ripping a Bonfire here, and of course they have an Ash Blossom, but we do have the Triple Tactics talent, and the Call By as well, so... Yeah, this song rips. Maybe I'm just tripping. I don't remember this song playing last time I used the Cashier board, but... Alright, so we're going to Bonfire for the Poplar here because our Snake Eye Ash is still stuck in the Spell Trap Zone. I'm going to use the Poplar effect, but they have an infinite impermanence. Definitely not ideal, but we can still make plays here because we have the Triple Tack, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Triple Tack to steal their Nemesis flag. Link it off with my Poplar. We're going to go for Hita, if I recall correctly here. Yep. Hita can bring back the Nemesis, and then I can go into the Promethean Princess. I actually probably should have left the Poplar in the graveyard there. I mean, I do still have the Ash Blossom to bring back with Prom Princess to then go into the Pyro Phoenix, but... I don't know, it probably would have been better to have the Poplar to bring back. I guess not even on this turn, but just in general. Oh, but that's right, the Twin Saw F. That's going to keep me from being able to go into any more Link monsters. Because of the graveyard effect here. If a Link 3 or higher monster is on the field, banish this card from your graveyard for the rest of the turn. Neither player can activate the effects of Link monsters on the field, so... Alright, this unfortunately, yeah, now they have a monster banished, so they can go for the Nemesis Corridor. Sacking that off for the Thunder Dragon Colossus, which cannot battle over the Promethean Princess here, though. So it looks like they're going to normal summon Valor and link that off with the Colossus to go for SP Little Knight to out my Promethean Princess. Which, I was very relieved. I think I'd rather deal... Well, would I rather deal with the SP than the Thunder Dragon Colossus? I think in this particular situation, although I did just rip the Subversion, so it kind of didn't matter either way, did it? Although, to be fair... I don't know, I guess obviously it just depends on what I top deck of which card I'd rather deal with. Alright, finally peeling the OSS. We're going to use OSS on the Snake Eye Ash here. Going for the Oak. Oak F to bring back Ash. I was expecting an Imperm, but it actually ends up being Called By. The Snake Eye Ash cannot catch a break this game. It's going to get banished from the graveyard. Alright, now from here I'm just going to use the Oak effect to sack itself off with Poplar, going for the Flamberge Dragon. Poplar's going to put Hita in the Spell Trap, and then I'll put in Thunder Dragon Colossus, because I thought that I'd be able to summon it, but I didn't realize that the Tribute Thunder Monster effect isn't treated as a fusion summon, so I'm actually not able to pull it out of the Spell Trap. I can take their SP Little Knight, though, so there is that. Alright, Scare Cash was there at top deck there. I guess, to be fair, it is worth acknowledging that our opponent's kind of been on top deck mode this whole time, too, as well as me, in terms of, like, trying to just find any amount of plays here, so... Scare Cash will battle over the SP, and they're going to go into the Lightheart F to go for the Primitive Planet Reichphobia. This should be enough to get them into a Scareclaw Triheart, as yep, they can add the right card, and then, of course, go into a Rival from there. Yeah, so not ideal to have to deal with Triheart, but Triheart's a pretty fair boss monster. It can be tough to out, but definitely not impossible to play while it's on the field, right? Alright, so going back over to my turn here, finding another Bonfire. It's a pretty good draw. We still have a couple of Poplars in the deck. No targets for the Poplars, though, which is a little bit rough. No OSS, no Temple or anything like that, so or Subversion either. It's the main one I meant to point out, but Alright, so I'm going to go for the Link Rebo here, and then my main out to this tryhard is going to simply be to go into SP Little Knight. It's a bit of a shame for Scareclaw. It used to actually be a little hard to out tryhard for most decks. Not impossible, but, you know, they'd have to make some effort, but now every deck just gets to play SP, and it's like, oh. Alright, well that's a pretty easy out, so. Alright, so they do have yet another Twin Saw to pop, both my SP Little Knight as well as my Hita. Flamberge shall bring back Oak and Poplar. Oak gets to pull back the Ash from the Banish pile, which is definitely good. Snake Eye Ash going to add my last Poplar from deck to hand. From here, I'm going to use the Ash F, sack itself with the Spell Trap Zone. Poplar for the Flamberge, and we can simply move to battle phase. Oh, but SP, that's right, that's right. I did the same thing during the game that I always forget about that with SP Little Knight. Oh no, you know what it was? I forgot about it just now during the replay. But I remember during the actual game thinking, okay, so if SP didn't resolve because the target wasn't there, do I still not get to attack? And you still don't get to attack. I just couldn't remember it off the top of my head, so. We can still use the Flamberge to set up our SP though, and then going for an Appaloosa basically just to kind of finish things off here. My opponent does have that Twin Saw in the graveyard though, which is worth noting, so they could just use that to stop my Appaloosa, but they would also still need to find plays here, right? It's too bad this great card of Incarnate just saw no action this game. Unfortunately, the Scareclaw opponent just never activated monster effects during my turn. Of stuff on the field anyway, so. Bringing out my SP with the Flamberge. Opponent did not find anything off the top of their deck. They're just going to pass right back over to me. And we're simply going to move to battle and finally get to finish them off here, so. Oh, there we go. Like I said, 14 turn back and forth with Scareclaw there. Which is funny because, you know, with the Snake Eye Ash at 1, I mean, you saw firsthand the reason this duel took 14 turns is because we just could not get access to our Snake Eye Ash for pretty much the entirety of the game. And, I mean, as I said before, the lack of access to that is not just a consistency thing, but when they only have the one Ash, that recursion becomes a lot harder to pull off, and especially if they're kept from that one Ash, making plays, period, often becomes, as we again saw, extremely difficult. But we did manage to persevere and push through to that W. Let's check out a couple more duels here. Okay, I think this next one is against Voiceless. I'm mainly basing that off the icon, which I don't usually do, but I think I actually remember this opponent. I think they were on Voiceless. Anyway, we're going to take the first turn here. Let's see what we got. Not an ideal hand, but I mean, I guess we have Oak plus OSS, which is enough to go into plays. So we don't get, like, Ash Blossom or some... Oh. Yeah. I did actually remember that, but... I mean, I guess this is kind of another reason why I don't want to just, like, jam more Oaks into OSS, because, like... Not only is it a 2-card combo, it's extremely easily stopped. I mean, I guess to be fair, we still have Maxia Dash Blossom here, though. Okay, so it is Voiceless Voice. Putting back 2 prayers of Voiceless Voice for the store of this, right? Okay, so here I had some decisions to make once the Maxi came down. Because I saw this and I was like, I thought the odds of them just going to battle were pretty unlikely. To me, what it kind of seemed like they were about to do was maybe battle with both of these, and then make a Little Knight, and then banish the OSS from my graveyard. So I figured I'd throw out the Maxi now, just in case they manage to, like, you know, link off right now as well, just to get the draw here. But this does also potentially do something else, right? If I activate this, there's a decent chance they'll chain the Sorvis, and then I have the Ash Blossom to stop that. So really, no matter how this interaction plays out, it'll be at least relatively fine for me. But they are actually going to chain the Sorvis effect here, which I don't blame them for doing that. Because there's no way they could really know that I have Ash Blossom in my hand, but they just happen to play very nicely into those 2 hand traps. Alright, so opponent only has 1 unknown card remaining in hand. They're just going to move to battle phase and smack me with the Maxi before moving to main 2, and then end, of course. So, as always with Snake Eye, I don't really need to top deck my next play because I have OSS in the graveyard, so... Just gonna banish that, put back the Oak, and wow, I didn't even remember they conceded that early, but I guess it makes sense, because all they have is a Maxi. Again, we know one of the 2 cards remaining in hand is Sorvis, and it's pretty apparent from that concede that the last card does not end up being a hand trap, so that was decidedly shorter than our last game for sure, but I do think that even though this didn't really highlight Snake Eye stuff, it does still highlight the importance of the timing of hand traps. especially when you have multiples enhanced, and I covered extensively in my hand trap guide to make sure that you are getting the optimal use out of them. Again, here we're firing off Maxi to not only try to get a draw off a potential Little Knight, but also to bait and then negate the Sorvis. So there we go. I think we have one more game we're going to check out before we finish off here. And I actually remember that this last game is against Centurion, so I did remember that one. Alright, let's see what we got going in here. We're going second. It's a pretty decent hand. We got Valor and Ash Blossom. Opponent's going to lead with the Emblema Oath to place the pre-meta into the spell trap zone, and then they'll special here. So here I opted to use the effect Valor. I typically, if I have Valor and Ash Blossom, right, and my opponent's got like an on-summon search effect like this, I tend to use Valor and hold the Ash, not only to Ash a follow-up, extender, but also to potentially Ash Maxi on my turn. Here, though, I think I should have done it the other way around. I think I should have Ashed the pre-meta and then Valored later if I thought they had an extender, right? Because as we're seeing here, there's not really another better time to Ash the Centurion opponent. So that was a very good lesson I feel like I learned when playing this game in particular. It's like, okay, against Centurion specifically, you do actually want to use the Ash Blossom on the pre-meta search before using like something like Valor or Imperm. I mean, I think if I had Imperm instead of Valor, I would have used the Ash Blossom, but I wanted to use Valor in particular because, of course, it can't be used during my turn, right? So, alright, gonna lead with the Wraith Soth for the Fenrir here. Opponent's gonna use Phalanx on the Fenrir to hopefully not try to have to deal with it, but thankfully we have the Cashier of Birth, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring my Fenrir right back. Is what I was hoping until we got Ghost Ogred. Ghost Ogre is actually definitely not a bad hand trap in general, but especially in this particular meta. I just haven't really tried it out yet myself. Anyway, we do have the Snake Eye Ash, so gonna go for that next. Opponent did have a Maxi, so the Ash Blossom is gonna be useful for countering that. But we of course do still have the problem of, yep, our opponent's gonna be able to simply pivot into their level 12 Synchro. Now here, I think they're probably gonna end up going for the Red Supernova. It would make more sense to me than Blazar or Legatia here. Because threatening to banish my entire board as a Snake Eye player is definitely quite scary. So, alright, so yep, predictably they're going to use the stand-up Centurion effect now, as well as getting off the pre-meta search. Alright, there's that. So they're going to add another stand-up Centurion. Lots of Royals in this deck too. I'm going to go for that OSS here, because my game plan at this point is to basically try to use SP Little Knight to force out the Red Supernova. Although I could have also potentially gone for Subversion to try to accomplish... Well, the thing is, I thought they were going to do like the Crimson Dragon summon all in one chain link, which is kind of why I didn't go for Subversion. I definitely should have gone for Subversion here, actually, because I went for Little Knight. Basically, I knew the Red Supernova was going to activate. What I forgot is that Red Supernova banishes all cards on my field. I thought it was all monsters when I activated this effect, so that was a misplay on my part. And because I thought I was going to have both the Field Spell and the Poplar still on the field, and I was like, okay, with OSS, I definitely still have plays here, but yeah, so I definitely should have gone for Subversion, because even if they had put the Red Supernova on the field, Red Supernova can only be used in response to monster effects, so I still could have pushed it into the back row. Yeah, that's definitely, because I still would have had Snake Eye Ash. Man, that's definitely what I should have done there. But, you know, that's why I like to rewatch these replays, including losses with you all, is to get a better idea of how to play better against certain decks. So I feel after rewatching this replay that I'm much better prepared to take on Centurion next time, both in terms of disrupting their plays and dealing with the follow-up board. So hopefully you feel the same. But anyway, that'll go ahead and do it for this video. Thank you so very much for watching. As always, Ever, I do appreciate it. Let's go ahead and move now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.